Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering the conclusion of Group F. We'll also be covering the conclusion of Group E. We'll talk about which year around the 16 ties look most intriguing. We'll also talk about Mexico losing to Venezuela and whether or not their Copa America could be over soon. Make sure you stick around for the end of the show. I'll be giving you my reactions to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. Before we start off, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I can see it. And it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. Hold on, give me 1 second here. But yes, we have to react to the conclusion of Group F, which happened to be the second set of games, actually. We kind of flipped it around. Normally, we'll be talking about the first set of games, then we'll talk about the second set. But we have to start off with the first set of games, in my opinion, because, wow, what a set of games did we get from Georgia pulling off a massive upset. I think based on FIFA rankings, the biggest upset in Euro Championship history. I think Portugal was ranked 6, I believe, 6, while Georgia was 74th or 70 something in the 70s. Massive upset in that manner. When you look at the tournament that they've had in general, Georgia, they've had a pretty solid tournament in the fact that the first game against Turkey, they went back and forth with them, and eventually they got outclassed in certain areas just based on the quality that Turkey has. But they proved that they're not some sort of team that doesn't deserve to be here. And if, in my opinion, I didn't have the most respect for them entering this tournament when you looked at the fact that, number one, in the Euro qualifier group, they were really bad. They finished second to last in the group, in their European qualifier group, which is not good enough. And they got here through the Nations League playoffs, which is not the most impressive thing in the world. They finished below Scotland by 9 points in the group, a Scotland team that ended up getting eliminated. They even finished below Norway in their Euro qualifiers group, a Norway team that wasn't even good enough to reach these European Championship, which is hard to believe when they have Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But yeah, so I entered this, before the tournament, I really did not give them any sort of shot to really have any sort of chance to move on, even with the third place teams moving on, just because of that in general. And they have proved me wrong. They really have. I think Kvaratskhelia, he's a very good player. I always knew his quality. But Mikotodis, I always can't pronounce his name. He has been brilliant this tournament. And it's a player that I did not know much about before. He was born in France, actually. Born and raised in France in the place for Metz in the second division. They're number 10. And he's a very, very good player, has some technical ability. He's played at a big club in Ajax before, so, it's known that he has quality. And he was really, really good. I thought the penalty he took today was classy in the fact that, wow, it was right in the corner. It had pace. Diego Costa is a big goalkeeper, and he couldn't get to it. I thought for Georgia, despite the fact that they went up against a Portugal team that played a Portugal B team, I thought Georgia would have trouble in this game. But once they were able to get that early goal, I think it made things so much easier for them. I thought that was the crucial part of this game. Getting the early goal, being able to play the entire game with a lead, was that was the perfect start for them, absolute perfect start for them, because they were not going to be a team that could go back and forth with Portugal. They just don't have the quality for that. But the fact that they were able to get that goal early, and I'm not saying that they parked the bus or anything of that sort. But they were able to, get the goal early and play more of a lower block. When you look at it, Portugal had 73% of the possession. They had 22 shots compared to the 7. It was clear Georgia was being tight and playing on the break and taking advantage of moments in transition and taking advantage of moments. And it just opened up perfectly. Now Georgia, respect to them, this run that they've been on to reach the knockout stage. This is the first time they've ever been at a major international tournament. Is a big deal for them. But there was, there's an element of luck in it too when you get to face a Portuguese team in third group stages that has wrapped up everything. They're playing basically their entire B team besides Ronaldo, which is another conversation for that we're gonna have in the segment. Besides Ronaldo so it's also a little bit of luck there too, but you got to make your own luck too. And I thought Georgia were pretty good in the first 2 games, so I don't think it's any sort of farce that they're in these knockout stages. Now they get to take on Spain, and that's probably the last team that they wanted to take on. But getting here is a remarkable achievement for them, and it's something that you can't. They'll never forget. They'll never forget these players. They'll go down in Georgian football history, and they're already making history just being at the tournament in general. But to be able to get to the knockout stages in their first ever appearance at a major international tournament, I mean that's literally the story of dreams. So hats off to them. As far as Portugal, interesting in the fact that Portugal, they played this entire B team, but Ronaldo was still in that starting lineup. For me, that's very interesting because, out of all the players, you would imagine Ronaldo is the one that needs most the rest. Him being a 39-year-old, coming off of a full season and playing in the Saudi league, it's a league that they play in extreme heat. It's a very warm country, so rest could be vital in this sort of situation. You not only have the knockout stages wrapped up, but you've already even won the group. So there's really no incentive to play him here besides the fact that he wants to get on the score sheet. Maybe it's clear that this was his decision that he wants to play. I don't think Roberto Martinez. It was Roberto Martinez's decision. I think it was his decision for sure, and he. And even you could tell he didn't even want to be substituted. He threw a mini temper tantrum when he got substituted too. So that's not the best look for Ronaldo. I don't understand why he wanted to play, but he didn't end up getting an injury, which was good, very good for Portugal. He did pick up a yellow card, which could get tricky. Because one more yellow card potentially in the round of 16 could get him a suspension, but I think he's smarter than that. And there's not much to say about this loss for Portugal. This is a lot of their B team. I think for Roberto Martinez, he really gets to see out of these fringe players, which players can he trust in the knockout stages. João Felix had a great opportunity to prove to Roberto Martinez that he could be an option, and I don't think he did that. I don't think he did enough throughout the duration of this game. I think for Roberto Martinez, it's just a good way to see which players that are on the fringe could be an option for them, as depth pieces needed, because you need, your players on the bench. You need the squad depth in these knockout stages, going if you're down 1-0 with 20-30 minutes to go. He needs a good idea of what players can he trust to put in that situation. So in terms of that, I thought that was good for him. Now in the other game was very interesting. Turkey and Czechia. In very interesting game, very kind of old school, aggressive, physical game. You saw the referee. By the way, the referee lost complete control of the game very early on. Now, Czechia did get a red card early in the game, which was a horrible situation for them to find themselves in as they're chasing a win. And, that ended up costing them heavy in the end. And I have to be honest, that was a second yellow. You can't make that stamp, that play. He was late arriving to that ball. He stamps onto that Turkish player. There's no arguing there. That is a red card. But there is a controversial decision that we'll discuss a little bit later on. But as far as the game, once that red card happened, it was just, it was just really almost an impossible situation that Czech found themselves in, because they were not only did they have play with 10 men, but they're also chasing the lead. But I thought I thought the players rose up though, and they were able to make it a better game than what I thought it would have been when that red card happened. In terms of duration of the game, there was a few chances that they created. I thought they were very lively in transition. They got outpossessed 70-30 or 69-31, but they still were able to get more shots on target. They did test Gunik as well, and they suffered a lot in this game. After Çalhanoğlu was able to get that goal, Stanik, the Czechia goalkeeper, it was a shoulder. It looked like a potential dislocated shoulder. He had to come off. There was a lot that went against Czechia's way in this game, and they were able to keep it tight. And even after Turkey scored, which was a rocket of a goal by Çalhanoğlu, and that's what you need, by the way, in these sort of situations, your big time players to show up, and he showed up with that goal. Amazing goal, just absolutely blasted it right, no chance for the Czechian goalkeeper there. An amazing goal, but they were able to respond after that goal and end up getting an equalizer. And they showed spirit. They showed dedication, they showed a heart, they showed their fight for their country, but the battle became too much playing against 10 men, and Turkey were able to seal it off right at the end and win the game, which actually, made sure that they finished second, and, put them in the better side of the bracket. But I'll say this regarding this Czechia-Turkey game. I thought Turkey were very lucky in the fact that I think it was around the 81st, 82nd minute. I forgot who the striker was from Czechia that came on. I believe it was, I have no idea. But there was the Czechian striker. He gets in behind, and he gets whistled for a foul. That was never a foul. In fact, you could argue it was a potential handball from the Turkish defender. He was able to get that past that Turkish defender, and minimal contact on Demirel sent Demirel to the ground. But there was no foul there. Then the Czechian player was able to score, but the referee blew the whistle beforehand and didn't even allow VAR to come in and be a potential chance to review it. Whistled it before that, which was very shocking. It was overall horribly officiated game. He was so card happy, and that's a big time moment, because if he doesn't call that a foul, and at least, or even if you think it's a foul in that situation you find yourself in, if there's a hesitation of doubt, let the play finish real quick. Then you can call the foul at the end. And then VAR will come in and change it, and VAR can change it because you didn't blow the whistle before the goal. Now you blow the whistle before the goal, you don't have you take away VAR an opportunity to save yourself. But yeah, overall the referee was horribly officiated the game, so card happy, and lost complete control, lost complete respect from the players. They completely disrespected him. Even towards the end of the game, whenever the things were going on in the end, the referee was out there throwing cards left and right. I never seen a referee lose control the way that he did, and it's really a bad look in this sort of stage for that to happen. But yeah, Turkey find themselves through, despite, in my opinion, not really been as impressive as I expected for them to be entering this tournament. But that's kind of been the case for them at these last couple of European Championships. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to the conclusion of Group E of these European Championships.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we react to Turkey and Georgia getting through in Group F. We now move on to react to Ukraine getting knocked out, while Belgium, Romania, and Slovakia see themselves through the knockout stages. Into the round of 16. This group is an interesting group in the fact that they all finished level on 4 points, which is actually, I believe, the first time this has ever happened in European Championship history. I don't remember a time in my lifetime, World Cup, European Championship, etc., that a group has finished with all teams level on 4 points. And in those kind of situations when all team is level, it really comes down to goal differential. And what made Ukraine bottom is that at the end of the day is that opening day game where they got thumped by Romania 3-0. That ended up being the difference between these 4 teams. That's the reason why Romania is number 1, while Ukraine is number 4. That margin in a very, very tight group, goal differential became the difference. And it's heartbreaking for Ukraine, finishing this with the same amount of points as the group winners, but end up bowing out and going out. That's really a devastating situation. I think the last time I've seen something as devastating as that in terms of getting eliminated in the group stage, probably have to go back to that 2018 World Cup. Japan and Senegal finished 2nd and 3rd in their group respectively. Well, no, Japan and Senegal, they finished both with 4 points, have the same goal differential, have the same goals for, goals against, but the difference between those two is the yellow cards. FIFA Fair Play ends up making the difference, and that's the reason why Japan was able to move on and Senegal didn't. This is something of that sort in my opinion, because having the same amount of points as the group winners and still getting eliminated is really heartbreaking. But again, I didn't think they did much, and they didn't do enough this tournament. Ukraine, in my opinion, they started off the opening game. In terms of quality, they have the second best set of players within this group. In terms of just pure quality, when you look at Dovbyk, Yaremchuk, Zinchenko, Mudryk, these are players that play really, really good at top levels and have very, very good talents amongst this team. But the players did not show up to the level of their talent. Against Romania, they looked so lackluster. They had so much possession but complete waste, no real possession in any sort of areas that was dangerous, no cutting edge, none of that. In Romania, every time they got the ball, they looked dangerous. They looked like, they could have scored 4 or 5. They were very lively. They're very efficient in the way that they did it. Ukraine was the opposite. And then in the second game against Slovakia, there was a lot of moments in that game where Slovakia outplayed Ukraine in that game, and Ukraine were able to get past through individual moments of brilliance, especially that Yaremchuk first touch to give them the lead at the end. It took them the 80th minute to get that lead, and there was always a sense that they were not comfortable in this tournament, and because of that opening game, they found themselves in a situation that they needed to win this game against Belgium, and that's not the place that you want to be in. Now, they have their opportunities. I thought overall this Ukraine-Belgium game was fairly boring, and it was kind of ruined by the fact that Belgium only needed to play for a draw while Ukraine needed to play for a win. But and they had their opportunities near the end. Don't get me wrong. And in terms of play, it was pretty even. 13 shots to 12, 4 shots on target to 4 for Belgium. Belgium had 60% of the possession, but it was not possession in dangerous areas. It was just possession in midfield. It was just passing it around, just them being able to retain the ball more. But they had no real cutting edge either. I thought Ukraine, with the less possession, were still able to create as much opportunities as the Belgians. But again, just the lack of quality, not being able to get into the back of the net. Casteels had to come up, I think, very, very clutch for Belgium at the end. Because Belgium found themselves in a tricky situation too in those last 10, 15 minutes. They had an opportunity where they could be going for the win. Because if you go for the win, you win the group and you put yourself on the favorable side of the bracket. You avoid the likes of France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, etc. You put yourself on the favorable side of the bracket. But if you do go and open up yourself and you do go for the win, you put yourself in a dangerous situation, though, because if you do concede a goal in that situation, then you're going out. And and there was a tricky situation that they found themselves in. You saw within the last few minutes, they kind of closed the curtain. You see De Bruyne howling his team, just stay in the corner, kind of giving up almost, saying, yeah, no, we're not going to win this game. Let's just, and Ukraine was creating some chances at the end too. And so De Bruyne kind of being a captain, saying, well, let's just close the curtain. Let's just play for this draw. Let's get out of here. Let's keep ourselves in the tournament, which was very, I've always known De Bruyne being a leader. I've always respected him as a leader. I thought that was a good moment of leadership in the fact that Belgium were on the back foot in those last few minutes. And, his experience, saw through it. And, even though that going for the win, could have looked very appealing, the point, they needed that point. They could not risk getting eliminated from these group stages. That would have been really horrible for them. But now they give themselves an opportunity, but in my opinion, a massive, massive missed opportunity for Belgium. Massive missed opportunity. They put themselves on the other side of the bracket. I think Belgium have a very good shot to make a run because you're avoiding all the elite teams. The best teams you're going to have to face on this bottom side is England, Netherlands. Huge opportunity, missed opportunity for Belgium. I think Belgium would have a very good chance to make a very deep run in that bottom side. Very, very good chance, in my opinion. Now you put yourself on the top side of the bracket, and it'll be a major effort just to get past France in the round of 16. And then you'll have to take on probably Portugal. Then you have to take on a France, Spain. Then you'll have to take on a potential Spain or Germany, or, you have almost a 0% chance to reach the final in that top half of the bracket. I think on that bottom half of the bracket, they don't fancy their chances. I'd give them a 35% chance, which is a big chance to make the final. Now I think almost a 0. There's no way that they reach the final. Huge missed opportunity for Belgium, in my opinion. I thought that first half was so lackluster, and there's a price to pay. There was a price to. They were able to right their wrong in that Slovakia game and this Ukraine game. They weren't able to right their wrong in this game. I think overall that Slovakia game and this Ukraine game is they're gonna have to pay for it, and they're paying for it is having to take on France, which will more likely than not be the end of their tournament and really close the door shut on this golden generation of Belgium. And it's disappointing, especially for me, because I chose them to win this game. As far as the other games, Slovakia and Romania, I don't want to be what's the word? A conspiracy theorist. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but this game seemed a little boring, and especially in the second half. Now, the first half, no. The first half, I thought it was really, really entertaining. But in that second half, it seemed like both teams were rather satisfied with that point that they found to someone, which I cannot blame them because the point saw them both through. So if I was in their position, if I was their manager, I would be in that exact same thinking of the fact a point is good enough. Let's just pass the ball till the game is over. But in that first half, I thought both teams did show attacking intent. Duda was able to give Slovakia the lead in the 24th minute from a cross, but Romania were able to equalize shortly before halftime through a penalty, and and then on in the second half was a interesting pass fest, but big achievement for Romania because they are reaching the last 16 for the first time in over 20 years. I think the last time they did it was the 2000, the Euros in 2000. The Euros in 2000. Slovakia, this is also the first time that they've been in the knockout stages at the European Championships since the Euros in 2016. So major props for them, for Slovakia and Romania. Big accomplishment from both teams, and overall a great day in history for both of these nations. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll be talking about the round of 16th at these European Championships.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we reacted to to Ukraine getting knocked out and Romania and Belgium and Slovakia getting through in Group E. We now move on to talk about which Euro round of 16 ties look most interesting. I do have to say, these European Championship round of 16 ties don't look crazy interesting in my opinion, but what you do see is, man, we are going to have an epic quarterfinals and beyond. Wow, we're going to get some good matchups in the quarterfinals. Now, let's get this straight. There is clearly a strong side in these brackets. There's no two ways about it. There's the one side of the bracket that includes Germany, Spain, France, Portugal, Belgium. And then there's another side that has, England, Switzerland, Italy, Netherlands, Austria, Slovakia, Turkey, Romania. It's clear that, a lot of the bigger teams, in my opinion, the four best teams from these group stages are all in one side of the bracket. So, it's clear that there is. But if you break down some of these round of 16 ties that look most interesting, I would say the best one. No, should we start off? No. We're going to go with three. We're going to go with three. Three of them. No, I'm going to say four. I'd say the fourth one would be from 4 to 1. I'm going to count down from 4 to 1. These ties that I don't include, by the way, I don't include them because I don't think they'll be as interesting. I think England, Slovakia, clear favorite there. Austria, Turkey. I think there's England, Slovakia. There's a clear favorite there. I'm not underestimating Slovakia, and I think England, it'll be a very, very tight game just because of how bad England are. But I think England, at the end of the day, the quality is going to prevail. It's going to look nasty. It's going to look dirty. It's not going to look like proper football. It's going to look, it's going to be a battle of very mid teams. But I think England, just with the quality that they have, they'll scrape a 1-0 win. Austria-Turkey is another game that I will not include as one of my 4 interesting games because of the fact that I've really not been impressed with Turkey at all in this tournament. I thought in terms of the general play has been weak, especially that Portugal game. I thought even in that Georgia game, they relied on individual moments of magic, banger goals to get past Georgia. And in that Czechia game, thought they really, they were really on the back foot at certain times, despite playing a majority of the game with 10 men. Just, I don't think they're at the levels, and I think Australia is a brilliant, brilliant team. For me, there's a clear favorite there. Portugal, Slovenia, similar thing with the fact that just with England, Slovakia, similar situation with Portugal, Slovenia. A lot more of the quality is from Portugal. Just they have better players, and can Jan Oblak and Benjamin Sesko make this game interesting? Sure. But, the quality of Portugal, I think, will see them through. But it'll be very, very interesting. It won't be very, very interesting, but it'll be interesting. And then, in my opinion, the worst tie of these round of 16 is Spain and Georgia. Georgia, they did very good to see themselves through. But Spain is just miles better than them. It'll be the most comfortable round of 16 that Spain have ever had, ever. This game could be over at halftime, probably. It's just not to the level of a round of 16, and we shouldn't really even be getting this game at the round of 16. Let's just be honest. But I don't want to disrespect Georgia. They're just not at the level of Spain. Georgia kind of got lucky in the fact that they got to face a Portugal team that was playing a Portugal B team. Spain will be playing their full team, a full team that they've played that have had 2 dominating results, dominating performances, and they're entering this in amazing form. And yeah, they're not slipping up to Georgia. Georgia will have to play extremely compact and pray, and yeah, I just don't see it happening. But it's a good way for Spain to open up, continue to build momentum, and it's clear that Georgia are gonna have to play an extremely low block, and we're gonna get to see Spain, and they're gonna have a good session of trying to break down a low block, which will be good to. It'll be good for Luis de la Fuente to find more about his team. And it's, I'm talking about it like it's almost a training session, but for me, it kind of is. That's just the difference in quality between these 2 teams. And yeah, it's kind of crazy we're getting this tie in the round of 16. Now let's go for some more interesting games. I'd say countdown. I'm going to count down, actually. 4th most interesting game is Romania, Netherlands. This is a game actually contested by a group winner, the first place team, and a third place team in Netherlands. But also, I think the third place team in Netherlands probably are the favorites in this game, which is a crazy thing to say. But no, it's not a crazy thing to say. It is not a crazy thing to say the Netherlands are favored, actually. But, I don't know. Have you had a third place team that won around the 16 game? Yeah, actually, Portugal, they won the European Championships as a third place team. So that's actually a very bad comparison. I actually believe Ukraine finished third place too, and they were able to beat Sweden in 2021. So yeah, third place teams have been able to get victories in the European Championships, and I think we'll have that in this game. I think that what makes this tie interesting is the fact that Romania are group winners and Netherlands are third place team. I think Netherlands have a next level of gear that they can kick on when the knockout stages begin. I think it's a good way for them to build momentum. I think it's a good test for them. I think Romania also being strong defensively makes this an interesting game. Now this is going to be a tight game, and this is not one that Netherlands are can be comfortable favorites now by any stretch of imagination. Romania are very good defensively. They're very efficient. They're fine playing without the ball. They can play with possession of the ball. They have flexibility. They're defensively, as I said, very, very solid defensively. and their efficiency in attack makes them deadly. But I just think Netherlands, the quality will prevail. They have a next level of gear to kick in. I think Cody Gakpo is a very efficient player when he's playing for the Netherlands. I think Memphis Depay, if he's on his day, he'll be a lot for Romania to handle. I think that's the kind of player, Romania has has more of the old school kind of center backs. Playing a guy like Memphis Depay that'll come at you with pace may give them a little bit of a concern. Xavi Simons also provides creativity there. Now, Netherlands, what they do in the midfield is going to be very interesting. Veneers, you saw how poor he performed, getting subbed off in 30th minute. How do they line up in the midfield? Do they try to bring in Frimpong back in and play him as that right midfield, right winger hybrid role? It'll be interesting to see how Netherlands set up. And but yeah, I think Netherlands are the best. Will be the ones that move on in that. I think my third one is Germany, Denmark. I think out of a lot of these games, I think Denmark are the team, the underdog team that really has the quality to really make them, the other team, give them the biggest nightmare, in my opinion. Denmark going up against Germany. Because of the fact that they have experience, they've reached the Euro semifinals, they have quality in Christian Eriksen, Højbjerg, Yusuf Poulsen, who can come off the bench and be an option for them. Defensively, they're strong with the back three that they play with Vestergaard, Christensen, Jacob Mele, who's a good wing back for them. The overall strong team. They're very, very good in possession. What they have lacked over these past few major international tournaments is that real cutting edge in attack, that real being able to make that final play, that final ball. And that may be the reason why they won't be able to get past Denmark, just that real cutting edge in attack. There's been games that I've watched them play where, you think, they could play 180 minutes and not sniff goal, not even test a goalkeeper. In terms of midfield and defense and goalkeeper, that's a strong unit there. I think they're able to control possession of play, even against the good teams. I think defensively they don't give up much, but offensively they just lack that cutting edge, and that may be the reason. But if they're able to find that breakthrough, if they're able, maybe Højbjerg is able to bring one in because he has a shot on him, or they're able to get a deflection or something, they're able to find that breakthrough, or they're able to score a wonder goal like they scored against England and somehow find the back of the net. They can be a very, very strong opposition. Germany can find themselves in a very, very dangerous situation because Germany has proven, sometimes they do lack that little bit of creativity to find that breakthrough, to be able to break down a strong defensive team. Even going back, against the Switzerland, it took a set piece in the final minute to break them down. If you go back before the Euros, in the warm-up game against Ukraine, they struggled to break down their defense. They have proven sometimes that they can be weak in terms of being able to break down a very, very solid defense, very tight defense. And that can make it interesting, especially as the game goes on. The longer it goes on, 0-0, the more dangerous it is as a home team playing in that pressure, being considered the favorite. So, yeah, I think that will be an interesting tie, definitely. Denmark definitely has the quality to make it interesting tie. France, Belgium is my number 2. In terms of quality from both teams, this is the best game in these round of 16. When you look at the quality all around the pitch, Kevin De Bruyne, Amadou Onana, Romelu Lukaku, Leandro Trossard, Jeremy Doku, Mbappe, Dembele, Griezmann, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is a game, in my opinion, that I see Belgium having much control of the game in terms of dictating the game, in terms of being on the front foot, of being the main protagonist. But because France want them to do that, because France will be willing for them to do that, I think Belgium does have the quality to take control of the ball and to generate a lot of opportunities. But that's what France wants them to do. France would want Belgium to push guys forward, to open themselves up, because what they do amazingly well is defend very, very tight, very, very, very well, and then play in transition with the likes of Mbappe, Dembele, Thuram, Griezmann. That is the most, that's what France love to do. And Belgium is a good test for them, and it's their fault. They could be playing Turkey right now, in the round of 16 and be on the top half of the bracket, but they put themselves in this situation by finishing second, not taking care of Poland. And, it makes it interesting now. But Belgium, they do have the quality to, make this French team struggle a bit. I think the way that France performed in these group stages, I don't think that'd be good enough for them to get past Belgium. The thing with Belgium, though, they have to be clinical because they will be able to create opportunities. France will allow them to create opportunities, but they have to be clinical and they have to have that real cutting edge to make the France pay. And Romelu Lukaku has been opposite of clinical, which is why I don't know. Kevin De Bruyne will also be very key in this game in terms of being able to break down that tight French defense. He's going to need creativity. He's going to need to provide his creativity. He also needs to show his capacity to make runs into the box and to be able to get a strike off, because a lot of what France does is to keep the ball in front of them. And sometimes they allow yourself to have an opportunity to take a strike at goal. And De Bruyne, he has to be very, he has that ability, so that could be a factor in this game. Now, overall, I think, France will do what they always done. I think Belgium do have a shot in this game, if they are able to be clinical. And defensively, I thought they've been pretty good in this tournament as well. But now you're going up against France with Mbappe, Thuram, Dembele in the knockout stages. But also, if the France's attack is as lackluster as they were in the group stages, then Belgium could also, really be fancying their chances. So it's going to be a tight one. I think France are going to win 1-0. I think they're going to be very, very tight defensively, and I think they'll find that breakthrough. And I don't think Belgium will be able to break down the French defense. But, man, this game could go either way, in my opinion. Really could. And then my final game has to be Switzerland-Italy. What a game. In terms of Switzerland, very, very talented, have had a very, very good group stages, and have performed much better than Italy at these European Championships, having 7 points, all that, etc., etc. But Italy have the footballing history, have the footballing culture, have the football heritage. They scraped through the group stages, but don't matter no more. Now they're in the knockout stages, and they have everything to play for. They're on the favorable side of the bracket. They don't have the quality that they had before, but they still have that Italian spirit. You saw that in the way that they were able to get past Croatia in the final minutes to get to this point. Don't sleep on Italy. Switzerland have performed better in this tournament and have played much better football, but Italia got the culture, the DNA, and I think that makes them really, really deadly and could put Switzerland on a potential pathway to being flying home after Switzerland, back to Switzerland after these round of 16. So that is the tightest matchup, in my opinion, in this round of 16. Hence, that's why I have them number one. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to Mexico losing to Venezuela and talk about the implications of that.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we discussed the Euros round of 16 ties looking most interesting, most intriguing. We move on to react to Mexico losing to Venezuela in their second game of these group stages and how this affects their Copa America. Now, as far as this game goes for Mexico, another tale of two halves, in my opinion. I thought in the first half, by the way, Venezuela, they clinched a quarterfinal appearance with this win. Now that they have 6 points, they're coming off an opening day win over Ecuador, playing against the majority 10-man Ecuador. and now winning this game, they will be in the quarterfinals. I just want to point that out there. But Mexico in that first half, they had a lot of opportunities early in that first half. In that first half, just in general. They were really the main guy, putting the main foot forward. They had created a lot of opportunities. The crowd was in it, and they weren't able to find that breakthrough. Again, despite being the main protagonist, just didn't have that final quality in that attacking third to get goal. Then Venezuela came out, and I don't know what their manager said at halftime, but in that second half, that first 20 minutes or so of that second half, I mean, it was just all Venezuela. It was Mexico on their back foot. It was Venezuela being lively in dangerous areas, penetrating runs, getting the ball from one side of the field to the other, playing end-to-end football, making runs in behind, just playing overall more quality football, testing the Mexican keeper. And they weren't able to find the breakthrough, but they were able to draw a penalty eventually because of the sustained pressure, which was actually Julian Quinones. He was the one that fouled him. Him being a winger, an attacker, you never like your attackers defending in the box because they're prone to making clumsy mistakes like that. Really a clumsy foul to give up in that situation. When you're playing behind him, you're just really at that point, if you're behind him in the box, you're really, trying to avoid any sort of contact. And really the only thing you should be trying to do is try to get the right side of goal from him and close off the space between the goal and the ball. But what he does is try to go through him from his back, and it's always going to get called the penalty. The referee was right there, no hesitation, didn't even need VAR. And then Salomon Rondon steps up, the main guy for Venezuela national team over the past decade or so, calmly tucks it in the corner there, and Venezuela was able to take the lead. And then, even for the next few minutes, Venezuela is still the main protagonist, but Mexico were finally able to cool it down, and then Mexico were able to turn it on. And in that last 20 minutes, they were the real main antagonists, chasing that goal. And they did create a few opportunities. Again, lacked that quality to get it in. But they also were able to draw a penalty. They were also able to draw the penalty opportunity. And Orebelin Pineda steps up. Came off the bench to take the penalty, he didn't come off the bench just to take the penalty, but this is a guy that came onto field from the bench. So it's interesting. That's interesting topic of discussion too. But he comes on the bench and gets saved. Horrible penalty in my opinion. No real pace, not enough in the corner there. Really simple save for the goalkeeper in my opinion. Not really struck with any sort of venom. And then once that happened, it was really not Mexico's day. Even they had a few good balls played in, crosses played in, really dangerous crosses, wicked balls played in, but they weren't able to get their head on it. They weren't able to get on the end of it, and Mexico lose 1-0. Another really bad result for Mexico, and it's just a horrible time for Mexican Football Federation. It's just bad news after bad news after bad news. Keep in mind, Mexico, they were able to eke a 1-0 victory from this Jamaica game. So they're not coming on this game really on a stronger note. They did lose Edson Alvarez in that game, which was a massive loss for them. You saw it in this game, his ability to control tempo. I think you really could tell within those 15-20 minutes that Venezuela were really dominating from the start of the second half how big of a loss Edson Alvarez is, because he's really, number one, not only is he the captain, but he's really the guy that is the leader of this team, that can dictate the tempo in that sort of situation where there's a lot of pressure folding upon the Mexican team. He's a guy that you can play the ball to as a holding midfielder, receive the ball back on goal, handle pressure, being able to play out, get his team out of a dangerous situation. You really saw the loss of that whenever they were suffering in that period. And it's a bad loss for Mexico, and it puts them in a dangerous situation now, because now they find themselves in with Ecuador bouncing back and being able to defeat Jamaica 3-1, which now Jamaica is officially eliminated, by the way. With them able to do that against Jamaica, Now Mexico and Ecuador find themselves in a situation where, or Mexico find themselves in a situation where they have to win against Ecuador to move on. Not even a point is enough because of Ecuador's superior goal differential, being able to win 3-1 over Jamaica. Now Mexico has to go into that Ecuador game, really open themselves and go for the win against Ecuador. In my opinion, an Ecuador team that is better than them, more talented than them. That is a horrible situation that Mexico find themselves in, and I think Mexico will be going out. I do. I think Ecuador will get the better of them. I think Ecuador will do enough to get the result, whether it's a point, whether it's a win. Enner Valencia, their main man, he should be back from the game after this red card suspension that he had today. He should be back for that game. And, I don't think Mexico has enough quality in that situation. I could see it very similar to the Saudi Arabia in 2022, where they just didn't have enough to get it over the line. I don't think they'll have enough to get it over the line against Ecuador. I think Ecuador is the more talented team. What they do have, though, in their favor in this game is that this game will be played at the University of Phoenix Stadium in Arizona, in Glendale. That's kind of been Mexico's home away from home. They were able, they're going to be able to pack that stadium, 70,000 Mexicans, roof closed, to really suffocate the Ecuadorian players with the atmosphere the Mexican fans will be able to provide. They will have an elite atmosphere in the game. Don't get me wrong. If you go back to the 2016 Copa America, they actually played Uruguay in that Glendale Stadium. I believe it was their opening game, that Copa America. They were able to play Uruguay, and they played it in that crazy pro-Mexican atmosphere, and they went on to trounce Uruguay 4-1 in that game. So they have that incentive, but it don't matter with that incentive if you don't have the quality of players. And in my opinion, this Mexican national team does not have the quality of players to get past Ecuador. Despite Ecuador's performance against Jamaica today in that second half, I thought they were poor in that second half against Jamaica, but I still think they have much more quality and they're a much better team overall than Mexico. And so, I think Mexico will be out of these group stages, and I think their presence at this Copa America is in grave danger. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. Final topic of the day, where we react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. Obviously, with the European Championships, the knockout stages have been confirmed. The round of 16 ties have been confirmed with today's group stage games concluding. So, okay. Should we go in order? No, we're just gonna go. We're gonna go with one side of the bracket first, second side of the bracket. So in the first side of the bracket, you got Germany taking on Denmark, Spain taking on Georgia, France taking on Belgium, Portugal taking on Slovenia. The other side of the bracket, you got Switzerland going up against Italy, England going up against Slovakia, Romania going up against the Netherlands, and Austria going up against Turkiye. So, some interesting ties at this European Championships. Now, let's go to the Copa America today. We had Ecuador. They were able to get, or actually, let me talk about the game that I talked about on this previous segment real quick, because that's short. Venezuela, they beat Mexico 1-0. And then Ecuador, they were able to defeat Jamaica 3-1 today. And they started off the game very, very well. Now, Ecuador are coming off of a 2-1 loss to Venezuela. A lot had to do with that red card, yes. And I thought the performance wasn't horrible in the fact that they had a red card, which really makes it difficult, especially in the heat of San Francisco, playing a day game and all that. But now they're able to go back indoors, play with 11 men, play against a Jamaican team that's coming off a loss on their own. And in that first half, I thought they completely suffocated the Jamaican team. I think they were very, very lively. They were very, very energetic. They were pressing up high, winning the ball up in dangerous areas. They were main protagonists. They were the main team putting their foot forward. And they played some very, very good football. But in the second half, after scoring that second goal in the second half, they really got put in the shell again. I thought Jamaica was able to get that goal to cut the deficit in half, and I thought Jamaica looked like they had every opportunity to equalize the game. I thought they put themselves on a good foot. They were able to control a lot of the ball. In fact, in terms of the game, they had more possession, 56-44. Which is an unbelievable stat for me, and they really created a lot of opportunities for themselves, and they could have got the equalizer, but really lacked that final cutting edge, that final push, and then in transition, they're able to pay. They're able to make Ecuador able to make them pay in transition in the final moments, and they move on to win to win this game. And it's a huge win for Ecuador, and the fact that you don't want to enter your final game with anything less than 3 points. That's a very bad position that they find themselves in. They were on the verge of potentially getting eliminated in today's game too if they lost the game, but they took care of business. Now they have everything to play for. In fact, they only need a draw to move on against Mexico. So it's an important win for Ecuador. Not the most impressive, but at the end of the day, the performance is one thing, but the result was mattered the most in the situation, and they were able to get result. What I do is, what I do want to talk about is Kennedy Pais, who's actually going to be a Chelsea player, so it's kind of a special place in my heart. He was able to find the back of the net from a penalty, and it was very, very interesting in the fact that they were able to trust him in this sort of situation as a 17-year-old to be taking the penalty in a Copa America must-win tie, which shows me a lot about this football player, that he has a personality, that he has guts, that he has a spirit within him, he has a clutch ability, he doesn't fear the moment, which is a big thing, in my opinion, really big thing. And it's something that, convinces me even more. Now the quality is there, don't get me wrong. Of course the quality is there. With you look at the teams that were looking after him, you see his raw ability. But when you see the intangibles of him too, being able to score the goal, being able to score a penalty, being able to being trusted by his teammate and the manager to take the penalty in that situation, as a 17-year-old in that situation, shows that he has the intangibles to be a brilliant player. Reminds me a lot of Cole Palmer in that situation, in my opinion. He actually mirrored also Cole Palmer's celebration after scoring that penalty. So yeah, really big indication of what kind of player Kennedy Pais could be. De Bruyne, he urged after the Belgium-Ukraine game, 0-0 draw, disappointing draw in the fact that it got them through, but a win could have put them on the easy side of the bracket, and Belgium fans were angry after the game, booing him, booing the team. Kevin De Bruyne has came out and he's trying to urge the Belgium supporters to get back to the team, back the team. And you could see Kevin De Bruyne after the game not yelling, but in the teammates, like saying, this is not good enough. We need to, take it to the next level. We had to play for 0-0 because of how how much of the back foot we were in within the last few minutes. This is an unacceptable position for them to find ourselves in, and it's an interesting place that they found themselves in. Now, Kevin De Bruyne, he approached the Belgium fan section, and he turned back, and he also told his teammates. Basically, De Bruyne approached the section of the Belgian fans, and then he turned back and told his teammates to leave the pitch because the boos started getting louder and louder, even when his name was announced as the UEFA Player of the Match. Now, Kevin De Bruyne came out and he said in a presser, "We tried to win the match. We had goal scoring opportunities, but we didn't take any risk with the corner because we know we might concede a goal. If that happens, you're out of the Euros. It's a shame we didn't manage to score before. We had opportunities, and after that, we just need the fans to stay with us. We need these fans. We'll need them against France. That's all I have to say." He was also asked why he urged his teammates to leave the pitch and not to go to the fans at the end. And he gave a rather composed response by just continuing to call for their support. He said, "We just need them. I don't know what else to say. We just need the fans. We'll need them against France. We needed them in the last 3 games. That's it." In fact, their coach Domenico Teodesco even came out afterwards saying, "Well, of course, we are a bit surprised. We wanted to qualify, and we have qualified. We lost the first game and played fantastically against Romania, and the fans were really happy today. Today was a real tough game, but the message is clear. We want to play to win." Look, I'll say this. The fans have a right to be upset because the fans know Belgium missed a golden opportunity in this game. Winning this game and righting the wrong of what they did against Slovakia by winning this group would have put them on the much easier side of the bracket and exponentially increased their chances of going on a deep run in this tournament. Now that they've not managed to do that, they're going to find themselves in a dangerous position. They find themselves in a position where they have to have a massive, massive effort just to reach the quarterfinals, just to get past the round of 16, just to win one game in the knockout stages. The fans understand what's at stake. That's all I'm going to say here. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Ain't that great. I don't want to go to